G'day, John Canning here. Today I'm going to talk about tyres. Now, I'm no expert, technical expert on tyres. Just going to give you my opinion and my experiences. So, over the last 10 years of travelling to the outback Australia, I've had a few positive and a few negative experiences with tyres. Initially I was pretty naive about tyres, particularly about what sort of tyres I needed out there and what tyre pressures I needed to use when I was out there as well, and that cost me a fair bit of money and a bit of frustration. So firstly, this is not about 4x4 tyres for technical off-road, rock climbing, extreme stuff. This discussion is for those who have bought a new SUV or a dual cab ute and want to do outback touring, towing a van or a trailer or with a rooftop tent or whatever, but just touring, overlanding, occasional creek crossings and sand, things like that, but not that extreme stuff where you need those specialist tyres and suspension lifts and all those sorts of things. So this is just as I said, you've gone out, you've bought your new vehicle and you've got some tyres like this one here. So there's three categories of tyres we get normally. These are the ones that come with the vehicle, and they're in most cases, and these are highway terrain tyres. So they're designed to be quiet, to be comfortable, and to be have very good traction on sealed roads. So they're not very tough once you get them off-road where they're likely to have sticks spiking them and things like that, because as I said, they're more designed for comfort, quietness, and those sort of things. So the other end of the scale, we've got mud tyres, mud terrain tyres. So they're more for the more extreme type of four-wheel driving. They're great in mud and climbing on rocks and things like that, but they have big chunky treads. So firstly, they wear quicker, they're very noisy on sealed roads, and they tend not to have anywhere near the same sort of traction in wet conditions on sealed roads. So let's put them aside. In between them we've got the all-terrain tyre, and this generally, in my opinion, is the one for most of us, unless we're doing that extreme four-wheel driving, or we know we're going to encounter those conditions and we're prepared to make those sacrifices. So I've recently upgraded my tyres because I went on a trip which was about 5,000 kilometres through outback Queensland in the most remote areas in the hottest part of the summer. And I like my vehicle to be prepared as best I can, because generally I travel as a single vehicle. So these were the tyres that were on it, and these are Pirelli All-Terrain Plus. Now they've been a good tyre in many ways, in other ways I found them a bit disappointing. I've had two sets of these on two separate vehicles. I had a set on a Trident Utility, which I took through extremely sandy conditions in Coog's track and up the Strzelecki track, and they did fine, you know, no problem. I didn't have any punctures, and I found that I got about 65,000 kilometres out of those. So when I ordered the Ranger, I said, give me a set of those Pirelli AT Plus, thanks, they'll do. And of course, what I found was 30,000 kilometres later, the tyre looked like this. Now you might not be able to see, but this tyre is probably, I would reckon, 85–90% worn. Now if you go into the outback and you're going remote, you do not want to be going out there with tyres that are 80 or 90% worn. Okay, so what's going on here? Is this car heavier, more powerful? I don't know. I don't think I drove any differently, but got half the mileage out of it on these. So I decided I'd look around a bit further. And I also wanted a tougher tyre because I thought I would be going more remote and in tougher conditions than I'd probably been before. Well, the truth is, I've got family on board this time rather than a mate, so it's more important not to be stuck. But anyway, I had a look around tyres and I ended up with these over here, and they're BF Goodrich KO2s, very popular tyre. One that my natural instinct said to me, oh well, I'll be paying a lot of money just because they're cool tyres and very popular. So what else is available? In the end I changed my mind and obviously I bought those, but I did look at a number of other tyres, including Coopers and Falcons and obviously the Pirellis and a number of others. But what was important to me also, well, two things are important to me. I'm a bit of a sook with tyres, right? I want comfort and I want quietness and I want safety. Safety being the number one, as well as being tough when I go in the outback, because I don't want to be changing tyres in 40-degree heat if I can avoid it, and it's a costly business to be wrecking tyres out there. So I thought to myself, BF Goodrich, very popular, supposedly very strong. What's going on here? Well, there's a couple of different things about these tyres. If we go back to the original tyre that was supplied with the car, the Highway Terrain, and we take this tyre here, they have a different load rating and a different weight. So the load rating on this tyre here is 1180 kilograms per tyre, maximum load rating. The rating on that tyre, which is also rated as a light truck tyre, is 1360 kilograms per tyre, so significantly stronger tyre. Okay, but what comes with that is additional weight. This tyre here, what does it weigh again? It weighs, from memory, 18.2 kilograms this tyre weighs. And that's about the same as the tyres that came with it originally. So, that's fine. The car's all designed, the gross vehicle mass and all that around the tyre of that weight. So 18.2 kilos. That tyre there weighs 23.5 kilos. So all of a sudden, for 4 tyres, we've got an extra 21.2 kilogram of weight here. It's unsprung weight in that case, but it's still extra weight, which adds to the overall weight of the vehicle. So extra 21 kilos. If you've got a spare tyre that's of the same brand, you're up to 26.5 kilos. And if you're like me and carry 2 spares, it's nearly 32 kilograms of extra weight. Now, that's got to be considered, right? Especially if you've got tight weight limits like some vehicles have. But for me, I was happy with that extra weight because I get the toughness and I get the reliability. Well, that's what I've found so far. So important to look at those ratings when you buy tyres. They've got a lot of numbers on there. The size, which is, most of us probably know, this one's a 265/60 R18, 265 being the width, 60 being the percentage of the sidewall to the width, even though some of it's tucked in the rim, R for radial, and 18 being the rim width. So I'm one of those people that if I don't have to modify my vehicle, I won't. So some will say, oh, 18, geez, you really need to get a 17-inch or a 16-inch. Why is that? Well, that's because you're going to get a bigger sidewall. So you've got, I guess, more squishing, particularly when you air down your tyres and lower the pressure, which, airing down tyres and tyre pressures is a whole different subject, but it's a really important factor when we're going the outback, whether it's rock or gravel roads or particularly sand, for a whole lot of reasons, but that's a different subject. But you need to consider that. My opinion is that for general overlanding, off-road and gravel roads, occasional water crossing, sand, you can certainly get away with an 18-inch wheel, which is what seems to come with most of these vehicles now, and I've done that. So to me, no need to go out and spend thousands of dollars on brand new rims just to get them a bit smaller. 18 inches is fine. if you're getting over 18 inch and you're starting to get into 19s or 20s or even 21s, it's too narrow here. You're starting to get too low profile, and then when you hit some rocks and things like that, you haven't got enough give, or if you want to lower your tyres down, you haven't got enough leeway there. So I'd be thinking about swapping my rims in those circumstances. But with an 18, I've never had any problem with the 18 inch rims, and why spend money getting a different rim for that if these are satisfactory? And as I said, I think they are. Okay, so I'm concerned about buying these particular tyres. Well, let's go back to when I bought these tyres. Originally I researched them, and what I looked at is I want safety, I want good traction on the sealed roads, which is where I spend most of my driving. Okay, when I'm not going out back, obviously I'm on sealed roads, and these days they're sealing more and more roads out there anyway. But so I want good traction. That's the first thing, safety. I don't want noise. I don't want that drumming, you know, inside the car, because I've got these chunky tyres drumming away, driving me nuts either. And I don't want a rough ride, any rougher than I need to have. So these Pirellis tick the boxes for all of those things. So highly recommend them for that. Great tyre. Another similar tyre that I've heard good reports about, which is like this, but also on the lighter side of the rating and less expensive than either of these tyres, is the Falken Wild Peaks. Wild Peaks, and they're very popular, and they look nice on your car if that's of importance to you. So those things are important. So this is what worried me a bit about these. These are tough, rugged looking things. But I have to say, firstly, noise. I haven't really noticed a significant difference in noise between these and those, so I don't classify them as noisy. The ride hasn't, I haven't got in the car and, God, these are rough. Not at all, they've been fine. Now, what about traction in the wet? Well, there's no doubt these are sticky buggers compared to those. You've certainly got to be aware, particularly when you're driving a ute or a slider in the back, I think, that you've got a tyre that hasn't got the same sort of traction in the wet as these others. But it's not a deal breaker, it's just something to be aware of. So I'd have to say, overall, I'm very happy with these at this stage. I've done 6,000 odd kilometres, 4.5 of that mainly in off-road in outback Queensland. There's no chipping, there's no, nothing on the tyre. It looks great, and I found it comfortable and not a problem. So what I'm saying finally is that if you have bought a vehicle, you're looking to change over from the highway terrain tyres, all-terrain's probably the way to go. Just do your research. These lighter tyres, when I say lighter, then they're still significant tyres, they're still really good tyres, are probably okay, but think about your load ratings, and if you've got a really heavy vehicle, you're towing heavy things, heavy van or whatnot, think about perhaps the higher load rating. The speed ratings, they've got slightly different speed ratings, but I think one's R and one's T, and what's R 170 kilometres is rated to 170 kilometres, and T's 190. So to me, the speed ratings are way up there. They're all well and truly above what I'll be doing in my vehicle. So do a bit of research. I hope that's been helpful, but certainly very important part of your outback preparation. Okay, talk to you again soon.